You have already eaten today, or you are about to, and at some point, probably around the same time as yesterday and the day before, and every day you can remember, you will sit down for a meal. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. 3 times, roughly evenly spaced, like clockwork. You have done this your entire life without once asking why. Here is the answer nobody tells you. 3 meals a day is not what your body evolved to do. It is not ancient. It is not biological. It is not even particularly old. 3 meals a day is an invention, a specific, traceable, historically recent invention that was designed around factory schedules, enforced by colonial governments, and spread across the world not because it was healthy, but because it was useful for people who needed other people to show up to work at predictable times. The hunger you feel at noon did not come from your body. It came from a bell. Let's go back to the beginning. For the vast majority of human history, there were no meal times. Hunter-gatherer societies, which is what humans were for roughly 95% of our existence, did not eat on a schedule. They ate when food was available. A successful hunt meant a large meal followed by hours or days of lighter eating. A difficult stretch meant going without. The body was built for this. The metabolic flexibility to run efficiently on one large meal, or to fast for extended periods, or to graze on small amounts throughout the day, all of this is built into human biology because all of this is what humans actually did. The concept of a designated mealtime is not natural, it is organizational. The Romans, who gave us so much of the architecture of modern Western life, ate one main meal a day. It was called the cena, and it happened in the afternoon or early evening. Breakfast was minimal, a piece of bread, some olives, perhaps a little cheese, taken standing up, not considered a real meal. Lunch barely existed as a concept. The idea of sitting down for multiple substantial meals each day was considered, by Roman physicians and moralists alike, a form of gluttony. Eating too frequently was seen as a failure of self-control, a marker of low character. The medieval period shifted this slightly. By the Middle Ages in Europe, 2 meals a day had become common, dinner in the mid-morning and supper in the evening. Monks, who organized their days around prayer schedules, ate at set times that shaped the eating patterns of the communities around them. Agricultural laborers ate when work permitted. There was no universal 3-meal system. There was no breakfast as we understand it. And then came the Industrial Revolution. In the late 18th and early 19th centuries, factories began pulling millions of people out of agricultural and domestic work and placing them on fixed schedules for the first time in human history. You started at a specific hour. You stopped at a specific hour. And somewhere in between, there was a break, a fixed, scheduled pause in the working day during which workers were expected to eat. The factory created breakfast. Before industrial labor, most working people did not eat a morning meal of any significance. The factory changed this because factories required workers to arrive having already eaten. A worker who arrived hungry was a less productive worker. Employers and industrial reformers began actively promoting morning eating as a form of worker efficiency. Breakfast was not a tradition. It was a productivity strategy. The 3-meal structure, breakfast before the shift, a midday break for the main meal, supper after work, mapped almost perfectly onto the industrial working day. It was not designed around human hunger. It was designed around human labor. And then it was exported. As European colonial powers expanded across Africa, Asia, and the Americas, the 3-meal system traveled with them, not just as a habit, but as an ideology. Colonized peoples who ate differently were described in colonial records as primitive, undisciplined, and uncivilized. Eating 3 meals a day, at fixed times, with specific foods for each meal, was held up as evidence of civilization. Missionaries and colonial administrators actively worked to replace indigenous eating patterns with the European 3-meal structure. In some colonial contexts, adopting European mealtime patterns was a condition of receiving aid, education, or social acceptance. The 3-meal day was a civilizing tool. Now here is what your biology actually says about all of this. The human body has no fixed meal timing requirement. There is no metabolic process that demands food 3 times a day at specific intervals. Research on intermittent fasting, time-restricted eating, and varied meal frequencies consistently shows that the body adapts to a wide range of eating patterns without negative consequences, provided total caloric and nutritional needs are met. Many populations around the world today eat 1 or 2 meals a day and show no metabolic disadvantage compared to 3-meal populations. The hunger you feel at noon is largely conditioned. It is a learned response, trained into your body by years of eating at the same time every day. Studies show that people who shift their eating schedules experience the hunger signals shifting with them within a matter of days. The body follows the pattern you give it. The pattern you have been given was designed by factory owners. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off and you move toward the kitchen on schedule, not because your body is asking for food, but because it is the time you always eat, you will be following a routine that was invented in the 19th century to keep workers productive, spread across the world as a marker of civilization, and handed to you as if it were biology. It is not biology. It is history. And like all history, it is something that happened to you before you were old enough to question it.